Aha, hello. How's it going? Sorry. Now then, I'm in a bit of a fug. I got this cold going on. So those of you that know me, um, this isn't my normal voice, but we needed to get this started. So let's jump in. Okay, so let's get this up. So here we go. So just welcome. So we're going to look at the Bootstrap for we're going to look at the Bootstrap element for Dreamweaver for Unit 2 in the GCSE. And I'm going to be looking specifically at adding the animation in when we get to that point, rather than the game. But I'll mention how to get the game in as well. Not that I've actually tested that myself, but it's a really similar process. Okay, fine. So just quickly, who am I? I am nobody. I am no expert on this stuff at all. But, like everyone, I've been kind of trying to muddle through it. And I did find that using Bootstrap was a nice way of doing this task. So just pop forward to the next slide. So quickly then, here's what we're going to look at in this session. I've no idea how long this is going to last, but hopefully not too long. So first of all, why Bootstrap? Pros and cons. Really quickly, Bootstrap gives you a little bit more drag and drop in Dreamweaver. So that's nice, and the kids quite enjoy that element of it. And then the main reason that I enjoy Bootstrap for the Unit 2 specifically is that Bootstrap is innately responsive. And as you know, the spec requires that the website is responsive. The accessibility is a big feature, and I've seen it written that it needs to be able to respond to 500 times zoom, etc. So by using Bootstrap, that's all kind of a part of the Bootstrap framework. So that saves you messing around with tables and percentages and all that kind of stuff. What are the cons then? What are the downsides of using Bootstrap? Bootstrap within Dreamweaver is a little idiosyncratic. So, for example, when you are building using Bootstrap in Dreamweaver, you actually build in live view rather than design view, which was a real interesting one to get your head around at the beginning. So that's a bit funny. The second main disadvantage to Bootstrap in Dreamweaver is that it really doesn't play very nicely with Dreamweaver templates. So I've been using this with my sixth form students, and they were making an 8-page website for their level 3 course. And so for that, we needed to create page templates and then update all the pages based on changes made to that template. And doing that with Bootstrap in Dreamweaver is possible, but it's more of a faff than it is if you're doing it with a straight, a vanilla HTML template in Dreamweaver. But for the GCSE, with a 3-page website, I don't think it's even important to set up templates and then create your pages from templates. I think it's easier to just start off, make a page, duplicate it twice, because we only need 3 pages here after all. Okay, so we're then going to look at, so we're going to start off, we'll jump straight in. I really don't want to use up anyone's time. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you calling in on this, and I know that none of us want to be doing this tonight, but I appreciate your time. So I will try to zip through this stuff. So if you yawn at any point, just leave me a message, tell me to get on with it, and I will. Speaking about messages, if you got any questions or comments, if I'm doing something and you're screaming at the screen saying, no, man, that is not the best way to do that, then please leave me a comment either on YouTube or on the Facebook video. I do see them. Helen, thanks for your message. Diolch I ti, Helen, am y neges y gweud bod ti'n clywed fi. Yes, I did have a classic mic was muted moment at the beginning of the video. Very slick. Right, okay, let's go then. So to do this, I got two screens going on here. So to do this, we're going to do that, and I'm going to do this. There we go. Okay, cool. So I've got Dreamweaver open, and as you can see, this is the Dreamweaver homepage. This is where we start off. Now, I've also, tell you what, let's get that a bit bigger. There we are. I've also, before this, got my stuff set up and ready to go because, as you can see here, number 2, folder setup, get everything ready to go. So let's go back to here. What that means is you've got a bit of prep to do before you actually start in Dreamweaver. And I'll talk about that right now. So here's one I prepared earlier. In my documents, I have created a folder called Blue Bear Forest website. Now, so this is the theme I've just got for this, okay? Because I didn't want to get told off for using the live task. I don't like getting told off. So before getting started in Dreamweaver, you're going to need your students to do some prep. Okay, so what I've done is I've just created a folder I've just done it in my documents. So obviously, you might want to tell them exactly where to create that folder. Inside that folder, I have got one subfolder called assets. This could be called whatever you want. It could be called media, but assets, it's kind of what I went with. Okay, so what have I got in there? Well, I have got in there the stuff that I need to talk us through this tonight. So I've got, oh, that's massive. Sorry. I've got a quick logo that I just made for Blue Bear Forest that we'll be putting on the navbar. I have got 2 photos that I've downloaded from unsplash.com that we'll be adding to the web pages. And then I've also got a PDF. So the reason I've got a PDF, of course, is that we need to link to files on this website. This is just the DCF PDF. It's just the closest PDF I had handy, which is a bit sad. And but so they will obviously have to have their logs, their development logs exported as PDFs. So they'll also be up here in the assets folder. And then finally, I've got my OAM file that I've exported from Adobe Animate. So that's how you need your animation to look like, exported from Animate. If you're going for the full bells and whistles HTML5 with the buttons and sound and all that. Okay. Now, just as a caveat, I haven't actually done that on this animation. This is just a really rubbish quick animation that I threw together today. So it doesn't actually have the buttons and stuff on it. But if they were there, they would work. Okay. How do you know? I don't. Okay. Right. So that stuff's there, ready to go. So you need to have that stuff ready to go. I mean, you can always add to this folder and it will kind of repopulate in Dreamweaver, but you need to have the folder in existence. This folder needs to exist because we're going to point to this folder when we set the site up in Dreamweaver. Just to mention as well, you've got that annoying thing flying around on the bottom of the screen. I've got a PDF that I've nearly finished putting together with these steps in it. So if you want that PDF, just pop your email address in on that URL that's spinning around at the bottom of the page, digital-school.wales/bootstrap-pt PDF. Okay, so that's going to be flying around there. I may turn it off in a bit because it's a bit annoying. Right, so my folder is set up. So now we are ready to set the site up. Okay, so here I am on Dreamweaver. And to set this site up, we need to go to Quick Start on the left-hand side. And as you can see here, there's a button called Site Setup. So I'm just going to click on that. Okay. And in here, we're just going to give our website a name, and we're going to point it to the folder where the website's going to live. So that's obviously the folder that I've just been showing you. So my site name is, can't remember what it was now, Blue Bear Forest website. And here, so this is the wrong folder location here, okay? So I need to make sure that I point that at that folder that I've created for the website. So I'm going to click Browse Folder. I'm going to go to my Documents. Documents is having a little think about it. There we are. So, and then I just need to select the top level folder. I don't need to go in. I don't want to select the assets folder. I'm just going to select this top level folder and choose. Okay. And then all this stuff here, I don't know what that does. So I'm going to leave it alone and click on Save. All right, cool. So nothing very exciting has happened. The only thing that's happened is over here in the top right, you can see now that I've got my Files tab open. And here you can see, here's my site folder that we just pointed to. And you can see that it's already showing me the asset subfolder. And if I drop that down with the chevron, you can see the assets that I've put in there. Okay. Now, if you want to add any more assets after this point, that's no problem at all. Okay. You would just be able to pop open your file browser. Okay. Your file explorer or file browser or whatever on the computer you're using. Go to the Documents, open up that assets folder. Tell you what, let's do it just to show you. I'll drag something pointless in there now. Okay. So how about the thumbnail for this very video? So you can see there that I've dragged that DigiTech YouTube Unit 2 Bootstrap 1 PNG, the thumbnail for this video, in there, but it's not showing up here at the moment. That's no problem. If you do add anything, you just need to refresh. Okay, and then once I do that, it's there. It's been added in there. Okay, so as I said, it's no big deal if your students want to add files in to the assets folder at a later date. I mean, it does help to get stuff in beforehand. It means that they've got to be organized, and you know they've planned this out. They've got their plan. They've got their kind of their storyboard for the website and everything. So they shouldn't be kind of making this up as they go along. All right, cool. So that's our site setup. Okay, so we are next going to take a look at pages and navigation. Number 3 on the slide you can see on the screen right now. So we're going to create a page, and we're going to do our navigation, and then we're gonna duplicate that page twice for our other 2 pages. Okay. Okay. Now then, remember, if you've got any question about this first section about putting stuff in files, the site setup, if you've got any comments, any questions, pop them in. I got an eye here on the comments, so I promise not to ignore you. But we will have some Q&A at the end. But you know, I'm not strict. If it's more relevant to ask a question as we go along, then please fire one in. Okay, so back to Dreamweaver. Okay, let's create our first page. So to create our first page in Dreamweaver, I'm going to click on Create New. Okay, and we're creating a new HTML document. So this is how you would normally do this in Dreamweaver if we were not using Bootstrap. Nothing much is new, but normally you'd be on none here. Okay, but we're going to be using Bootstrap. So here's the big difference. We're going to click on this tab here. All right. Now then, it's going to ask about stuff like Bootstrap CSS. So Bootstrap comes with some default CSS, so some styling that you can change and that we will maybe look at in another video, because I think we need this to be just belt and braces basics. That was hard. Tonight, maybe we look at styling in another video. We'll see how quick we get along tonight. So, excuse me while I try and shift this Barry White voice that I've got going on. Now then, it's going to create new Bootstrap CSS for you. That's fine. Okay, so you don't need to change that. Now then, this is an interesting one. Include a pre-built layout. Now that's quite tempting. I'm not going to show that tonight because if I do that, I basically have to kind of restart the website to show you it without it. If you do that, it's going to create a page with a navigation bar, with a load of kind of boxes ready for you to put stuff into, with a jumbotron at the top and a footer at the bottom, and it's going to look nice. The problem with the pre-built layout is that it's got too many things, far too many things that you need. Okay, the website we're trying to build here is really basic, and what I find was when I tried using the pre-built layout with my sixth formers, they were spending more time deleting the stuff they didn't want from the pre-built layout than they would have just building it from scratch. Okay, so I'm not going to take that. But, you do you. Okay, so that's my first page. And I'm just going to click Create. And we are going straight into the Dreamweaver editor window. Cool. We've got Git support. Let's just close that. Don't know what that means. All right. So, as you know, or not, if you never used Dreamweaver before, you may open this up and be like, oh, wow, what is going on? So at the top, you've got your views, okay? So you've got the full-on code view, if you want to feel like you're in the Matrix, okay? So you've got the code view there, which just shows the HTML code for your web page, and you can also open up I'm not even going to talk about these. Forget these. Don't worry about them. Okay, don't need to worry about those. That's the automatic stuff that Bootstrap made for you. Okay. Now, I don't think any of you are going to be using this in straight code view. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video right now. So you've got split view, which gives you half code at the bottom, and then half of whatever this is. And this you can swap between live and design view. Now, normally in Dreamweaver, you would be using design view to drag and drop stuff in. But this is one of those little quirks that Bootstrap within Dreamweaver has, that you need to be doing that in live view. Okay, so make sure that you've got this set to live. Now, if you want to keep an eye on your code, then you are welcome to have it in split view. And this is down the bottom. Now, I'm not saying that I never use the code at all. We do, especially when we're tweaking hyperlinks, that kind of stuff. Okay, but most of the time, I would just have it on live view. Now, I'm not even sure if you're following along with Dreamweaver open, but if you are, maybe you don't have the properties panel at the bottom here. Okay, now the properties panel in Dreamweaver is essential. So let me show you how to get that. So I'll get rid of mine. There it is, it's gone. So you need that permanently open, really, the properties panel. So to open up the properties panel, you just need to go to Window, and you just need to tick properties. Okay. Now, normally when you do that, it will dump it in the middle of the screen, which is where you don't want it to be. And then people usually close it because it's annoying up here. But what you can do is you can dock it to the bottom. So it's not just a matter of dragging it down to the bottom. If you drag it right down to the bottom, now you can't see that because I've got this thing flying around. Hang on, let me turn that off. Okay. Now then, if I drag that right to the bottom, do you see that glowing blue slightly? No, you don't. I'll zoom in more. Okay, so keep an eye at the bottom here. If I drag this right down, there, do you see that kind of blue glow? If I drop it there, it docks the properties panel to the bottom of the page. Okay, and there it shall stay, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. Excuse me. Now then, fine. That was quite a sidetrack there. Sorry about that. Okay, let's start off with our navigation bar in Bootstrap. So this is fun, I promise. Over on the right-hand side, we've got our side panels. And as you can see, we've got our files here, as we know. That's the asset folder that we created. And here is the stuff that has been created for us because we're using Bootstrap. Don't touch that stuff ever, or things will break. Okay, so just leave them alone. All right. Now then, we want to start building with Bootstrap components. So we're going to go over to Insert. And I've automatically got this on Bootstrap components because I've obviously been using Bootstrap components before. But you've probably got that set to HTML. Okay, so to start working with Bootstrap, we just need to drop down that drop down and choose Bootstrap components. Okay, now then, adding components to the page can be done in a few different ways. There's the fast and loose way of drag and drop, or there's the slightly more careful way of clicking and choosing where we want it to go. All right. So I want to place, I want to put a navbar in. Okay. So as you can see here in my Bootstrap components, we've got a navbar here, basic navbar. You've got different options. You've got a fixed navbar. So when you scroll on the website, you know, it stays fixed, etc., etc. But I'm just going to stick with a basic navbar. Okay. Now then, I could drag that in. Okay. Oh, it's in. Hang on, let me just show you that again. I could drag it in, but sometimes when you drag Bootstrap components in, things land in the different places to where you expected them to. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it, and it's just added that in. Okay, because it's the first thing that we're putting into the body. But as you'll see, as we start adding more things in, you'll see it'll pop us up, and then it basically, when we click on things, it asks us, okay, where do you want to put this thing, man? Do you want to put it before the thing you got selected, after the thing you got selected, or do you want to nest it inside the thing you've got selected? Okay. Now, what's handy when you're working in Bootstrap is the DOM. Okay, so I always laugh at that. Publicly siarad Cymraeg, Welsh speakers on here. DOM is obviously the correct terminology for a cowpat. So I always laugh whenever I tell kids to have a good look at the DOM. So the DOM basically is all the bits of your website in order. Kind of shows you what's nested inside what else. So you can see that our navbar is nested inside the body. That's why it's indented slightly there. Okay, and then if I drop down, if I drop down the chevron here, you can see within my navbar, I've got my navbar brand, and then I've got buttons, and I can drop that down again, okay, etc. Okay, so let's break stuff. Let's get rid of this because That's not asked for in the spec. And I don't know about you, but I don't feel like doing anything extra for free. So let's get rid of it. Now, I've just clicked on that search bar there. But if we go into the navbar here, I'm just going to drop this down. Okay, you can see there's a form. Okay, if I click on that form in the DOM, do you see it's selected it up here? It's highlighted it in blue. I'm just going to hit delete on the keyboard, and that's gone. Okay, so it's really as simple as that to get rid of bits that you don't want. For example, that we don't want all this, okay? Because as you're aware, the spec asks us for a 3-page website with hierarchical navigation. So, and that's explained by saying that one of the pages shouldn't be visible or able to be opened from all of the pages. So what that means is our navbar is just going to have 2 buttons on it, and our 3rd page can only be opened by clicking on a link on one of the pages. Makes sense to me. I think I could have explained it a little better, but there we are. All right. Let's start off with a logo. Okay, so at the moment I've got this here, navbar brand. Now, you could just put text in there, but I'm going to put a logo in. Now, you might be shouting at the screen, but nobody's typed it in. But I've had this question before. Do we need a logo? And certainly the spec doesn't ask for a logo. But, you know, I think if we're going for the higher mark bands, you want your website to look more professional. And I think that a logo would be a good way to do that. I'm also recycling that logo and using it in the animation as well. All right, so let's get our logo in here. So there we are. I've clicked in there. Now I could just change this text, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a responsive image in there, okay? So over on the right-hand side in the Bootstrap components, I'm going to click on a responsive image here. Now, here's what I was talking about earlier. It's going to ask me, right, where do you want to put this image? Do you want to put it before this tag? So I remember I was clicked into that navbar name. So do you want to put it before that? Do you want to put it after it? Or do you want to put it inside? So I want to put it just in that box where that title is. I'm just going to click nest. Okay. And there we are. I've got a placeholder there now for an image. Okay. Now, again, I could have just dragged that in, responsive image, drag, and just kind of drop it there and hope for the best. Okay. And there we are. That worked fine. But sometimes things just don't go where you want them to. So just undo that. Okay. So let's get my Blue Bear Forest logo here instead of this wonderful gray box. Now then, this works in a similar fashion to if you were just creating a normal HTML website. That's all I need to do is pop over to the Files tab here and drop down my Assets folder. So there's my BBF logo there. So how do I get that logo instead of this box? Well, quite simply, I click on this box, and now you remember this very important properties panel that we put at the bottom. It says here, source. So what do I want? It's in that box. And you can click on the folder and browse for it if you've got no joy in your life. But I've still got some joy in my life. So I'm going to drag this target from there, from the bottom here, and point it at my logo up here, because that's about as fun as Dreamweaver gets, guys. So I'm going to drop that there. And there we are. There is my ginormous logo. Okay. Now, what do we do about that? Well, it's too big. how do we make it smaller? Well, you could just export a smaller logo to start off with, but you know, I didn't do that. So down in the properties panel, we can change the size. Now, we're not going to change the size. We're not going to set it to pixel size because that would then be a fixed size, which is going to give us problems when we are resizing. So we change that to a percentage. We'll just change this to something like 10%. Enter. Okay. Now, notice that I've only changed the width. You could just change the height, but that's because the proportions are locked. So by changing one to 10%, it'll automatically change the other to 10%. Okay. Now that logo is still too big, in my opinion. So let's change that again. I think we can go down to something like 3%. Yeah, that's fine for now. Okay. So there's my logo. Great. That's sorted. Now let's get rid of this because I don't need this text, this navbar text. So just highlight it, backspace, it's gone. Okay. So I got my logo in and that's looking lovely. Now you will want your logo to navigate to your home page. So I may as well do this now. Okay, you don't have to do it now. So your home page must be called index.html. So there we are, that's done. Now I haven't even saved this page yet as index.html. This will be my home page, by the way, but I haven't even saved it yet. But when I do, that'll work and that'll link back to this page. Okay, what about our other pages then? Let's just see what's going on here. So I need home page, I need my second page, and I need to get rid of this stuff. Okay, so I can just click here. Now, when you click on anything on the page, have a look at what's happening down here in the DOM. Okay, now when I click there, you see it's actually selecting what I'm clicking on. So you can have a real good look at what's going on. So I'm going to click there. Here's my drop down. Now I want to get rid of that, but I want to get rid of this because that thing there says drop down. So I'm just going to click there. Yeah, that whole thing. I'm going to hit the delete button and that's gone. And this disabled button, click on that. And that's gone too. Okay. So now I've just got two navigation buttons here, home and link. So home is obviously your index page, and then link is going to be whatever your second page is. So I'm going to call this visit us. Okay, and then the third page will be the page with the evidence on it, because I want to hide that away, because it makes no sense to me that a Blue Bear Forest would have evidence of how they made their navigation, how they made their animation. So that's what I'm going to kind of have hidden away. Okay. So let's get some stuff in here then. Okay, we have arrived at point number 4, adding content. Oh, before that, before we add content, we haven't actually put a link on this, have we? Okay, so I'm going to click on there. So this nav item, I want this to link to a page that I haven't even created yet. Okay, but this will be part of the kids' planning document. Just come back for a second. So beforehand, the students are really going to have to know the names, the actual names of the files for these 3 pages. Okay, so we've got index.html, and then the second one, I'm going to have a visit.html in this example, and then the third page, I'm going to call it evidence.html. Okay, so 3 simple file names. And then it's obviously critical that when we create those pages, we save them with those exact file names. Otherwise, our links won't work. Okay, right. Let's pop back. Nope. This guy. All right. So I've got my visit us. I got my home. So visit us. Make sure that I've got this nav item selected. And that goes to visit.html. Fine. Okay. So that's done. Now then, I set my logo to go back to index.html, as you can see, but I haven't done that yet for home. Which seems like a bit of navigation overkill, but you know, it's kind of standard, isn't it? So I'm going to click on that in the DOM, and I'm going to add that link in there as well. Days to index.html. Okay, so our actual navbar and everything is working fine. So I'm going to save this HTML page now, because at the moment it's got the catchy title of Untitled 2. So I'm going to save this as index.html, because this is going to be my home page. Okay, so I'm just going to do File Save, Control S. Okay, so what is this called? This is called index.html. So obviously this process of naming, of saving it with the correct name is really important, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to save. And then it'll say this kind of stuff. You need this because when I first brought that in, it had that placeholder. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so just click OK. Okay, so that's saved now as index.html. We can see it up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up in Google Chrome to have a look at it. Now you could use this little button here, okay, to preview it in the browser. But I actually like getting them to go to the files, okay, and then actually double clicking on this HTML file and opening it up in the browser. Okay, so here we go. So we've got my logo and my navigation, and as you can see, and I hover over them, they are ready to be clicked. If I resize far enough, it has automatically changed my navbar to a drop-down navbar. Okay, so that's just the kind of the good stuff of using Bootstrap, is that it just does that for you. If I go to an insane level of zoom, you see it sets its own breakpoint there. I've got no horizontal scrolling at all there. It's nice, of course. Okay, right. Let's get some stuff on the page. So I'm going to leave that open there because we pop back and forth to that to check on how things are looking. Okay, so let's get some text and an image on this page. Okay, so to do that, I want text on the left and an image on the right, you know, standard. So I'm going to go back to my insert menu here. Okay, now I want to put that in a container. So container fluid means full width, okay, that it fills the whole width of your browser window. So like this at the moment, my navbar fills the whole width of, sorry, just catching flies. My navbar fills the whole width of the browser window. But most of the time, you wouldn't really want that. You wouldn't want your text all the way over here on the left and your photo all the way over here on the right. We want things kind of in a narrower column in the middle. So to do that, instead of using a container, fluid, you use a container. So you can see the icon kind of gives you a hint to what it does. It's kind of blocked off the sides there. All right. So I could click on the navbar. Okay. And then click on container. And now I want this to be after the navbar. So I'm just going to click there. All right. And there it is. There's my container. You can see that the width is kind of constrained. I'm going to undo that. Okay, get rid of it and drag it in as well. Okay, so that we can just see what happens. So if I drag it in, and if I'm careful, it'll give me a kind of indication of where it's going to put it. There, see that green line? This is what I mean when it's a bit fussy. There, and just drop. Okay, and it's put it on top. You see? So that's why I find drag and drop can be more of a hassle than it's worth. So I'm just going to click on the navbar, container, and I want it afterwards. Okay. Now, you can also, do you see I've got that? It's above the navbar. You can also drag and drop and change layer orders here. Okay, so I could just drag that container underneath the navbar, like so. Okay, and now it's there. So you can reorder stuff using the DOM. Right. So if I want text on the left and a photo on the right, you would normally do this using tables if you were building a HTML page. So the equivalent of doing that in Bootstrap is this third button here, grid row with column. Okay, so this is really useful because this is where you can really build up your page structure, you know, your layout. So I'm just going to click in that container. I'm going to click on the grid row with column. Click. Now, where do I want it? Do I want it before this, after it, or nested? Well, I want it inside that container, so I'm going to nest it. And I only need 2 columns, so I'm going to change that to 2. Okay, and I'm going to nest it. And I'm going to click OK. And there we go. So I've got content goes here, content goes here. So let's get some placeholder text in there. Okay. Fine. Yeah. So I'll just copy that. Back I go. So let's just paste that in. Birthdays. There we go. Paste that in. There we go. Okay. So again, I'd be getting them to have this text ready to go somewhere on a doc as part of their planning. So I've got the text there and I want a photo over here. So as we did with the logo, I'm just going to insert a responsive image here, and then I'll get rid of this text. Okay, so I'm going to click on responsive image. Now, where do I want it to go? Well, I want it to go inside this box, so I'm going to nest it. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of this text. Okay, so this image, again, as we did with the logo, I'm just going to drag my source target to one of these photos that I grabbed from Unsplash. Okay, fab. That looks lovely. Okay, let's see how that works responsively. Yeah, so let's save it. So I'll just do Control S. Okay, file save. Save all is a good one as well when you got loads of stuff open. Okay, file save all. Okay, over I go to Chrome. So here's my page. I obviously need to refresh it to see the newly saved version. So I'm just going to refresh Chrome. There we go. So now when I resize, what's going to happen? Okay, see, there's a bit of a lag, but it does respond. And there we go. There's the breakpoint. It's pushed the image underneath the text. There we are. And I've gone all the way to the smallest there, and it's resizing the image because it's a responsive image in Bootstrap, and it's shifting stuff around. Okay, got this stuff. If I click on home, it's fine. It's going to reload because that exists, index.html exists. If I click on this, that's fine. If I click on visit us, it's going to look for visit.html, which doesn't exist yet, and it will break. Okay, no problems. That's, that's meant to happen. That's fine. Okay, so far that's fine. For a home page, I mean, what else do we need, really, other than this? Yeah, maybe I'll put a footer in as well. Okay, so I put a footer in with their name, website by, something like that. But for what I've seen in the spec and what it asks for, that would be fine. Okay, so let's go on then to the second page where we're going to add in our animation. Okay, so this is an interesting one, isn't it? Okay. One thing that I didn't do, which is bad of me, is that I haven't got a title here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop a title in there. Okay, so I'll put welcome to the website, and then you can then change, if you want that to be a header, then I can just come down to the properties panel, change that to heading 1, and there we go, it's gigantic. Okay. Obviously, if we ever do come back for a video looking at CSS, then we'd be able to create one CSS page, one CSS document, sorry, which would obviously override all of these. So every time we've got a heading 1, it'll update the fonts and so on, colors, etc. Okay, let's make our second page then, the visit us page, where I'm going to be putting the animation. Okay, so I'm just going to save that. Okay, and now I'm just going to save as. And I'm going to call this visit. Save. So, just like that, I've now got 2 pages, index and visit. And at the moment, they're both identical. So let's change that quick before we get confused. So I'm going to put here, okay, dewch i'r goedwig, come to the forest, visit us. Okay, and then maybe we'd have some different text in there, etc. So let's get our animation in. Okay, so for this, I am going to delete this image. Yeah, and I've still got my empty box here. Okay, so we're going to put the animation in there. Now then, the animation is not in the Bootstrap components here. Okay, so to get your animation in, you need to switch back to HTML. Now let's mention the game at this point as well. Okay, so if you've done the game, you'd be doing the same. You'd go to HTML and you'd be putting in an iframe, which is right down at the bottom of the list, iframe. Okay, so that's how you'd be getting the game in. Now, there's also an issue with games whereby the game needs to be on a web server in order for it to play. If you've got that stored locally, like I've got those stuff in the assets folder, then the browser is going to cause you problems, going to block those scripts from running. So you're going to need a workaround there, which I haven't looked into because I'm not doing the game at all at the moment. Okay, oh, Helen, sorry, neges to Tivana, duplicate then. Yeah, so Helen's just popped me up a message here saying duplicate that. Yeah, so we've just basically duplicated our first HTML page. Credu na beth ti'n meddwl, Helen, that's what you mean. To get our second page, yeah, just file, and I did a save as, okay? And then changed the name to basically duplicate it. You could also do this in the file browser, okay? Your kids could just come in here and duplicate your index in here, okay? So Control D would just duplicate it, okay? Right click, duplicate. The only thing with that is that you then need to, in Dreamweaver, need to do file open and open that file up. So what's quite nice about using the save as method is that when you do file save as, it automatically immediately opens it up as another tab. Yeah. So again, maybe it's not the best way, but I found that maybe is the easiest way. Okay, diolch Helen, am hwnna. Okay, so yeah, if you've done the game, you are going to be using an iframe, and I'm afraid that's as far as I can take you tonight. With the animation, we are going to be using an animated composition. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click on animated composition. And again, I want to nest this in this column that I have. I'm just going to pop this up. It's weird, isn't it? We are used to dragging the target from the bottom. So when you're adding the game in, it actually pops up a file browser and it expects you to go and tell it where it is here. So of course my game is in the assets folder and it's my OAM file. Now it's grey and I have no idea why it's grey, because when you do click open, it's fine. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Now, for full disclosure, so here, I just made this really quickly today. I was showing year 11 how to do something. I wasn't showing them how to have a flying leg. I was just showing them how to do something, and then I remembered that if I was going to do this, I need something. Okay, so as you can see, this is no great animation at all. But as you can see, it is playing and it's looping, and everything's fine. Okay, now it's a bit big, isn't it? So if you want to resize these columns, by the way, because they're 50-50 split at the moment, if you want to resize them, you can just grab this box. And it does absolutely nothing. Right. Sorry, I'll click on this left-hand side box and I'll resize. There we go. Okay, so if you want to give your animation more space, I would do something like that. I still think that animation is too big. So to change the animation size, I'm going to click on it. These. There we are. Click on it. Now, down here, it is giving us absolute sizes, pixel sizes, 820 by 620. So that is the problem. So instead of that, we can type in here percentages. Okay, so instead of 820 by 620, you can put a percentage in. Now, 820 by 620 is quite small in pixel sizes on here. So I'm going to try something like 200, and you have to put the percent sign in, otherwise it's going to do 200 pixels. So 200%, 200%. I'm not sure if you need to do both, but it doesn't say that those are constrained, so I better do both. Click on enter. Okay, that was even bigger. Let's save that, and then. So it was already at 100%, obviously. Right, let's go down to 50 then. 50%, 50, enter. Okay, so maybe we need around something like 75 or something like that. But, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Life's too short, and it's 4 minutes to 8. So I'm going to save, because this isn't saved. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Pop over to Chrome. There it is. I'm going to refresh. There we are, because I didn't have my title in. So there's my homepage. Here's my Visit Us page. And as you can see, my trees are waving. and my animation is running and everything's behaving. Okay, so if I pop this over, it shifted it down. Okay. So I don't have any horizontal scrolling at all. If I go back to full width, but zoom in, see what happens now. Get to 500%. I've still got no horizontal scrolling. Okay. As I said, maybe that animation needs to be more like 80%, something like that. But I don't think you'd get marked down for it, to be honest. I can't, there isn't an issue with it. It works fine. Okay, so I think that hit most of people's pain points, really. Oh, does this bother you? Because it bothers me. So let's just have a look at that, okay? Giving our pages titles. So to do that, really easy. I'm on the Visit Us page at the moment. I'm just going to click on File, Page Properties, and it's under, it's under Title Encoding. I'm just going to call that Visit Us. Okay, and then, okay. Save. Go to my index page, File, Page Properties, Title Encoding. I'm going to call this Blue Bear Forest Home. Okay. And OK. Save that off. Control S. Back I go to Chrome. And if I refresh the browser, that's working. Okay. Navigation is all working. That's fine. Great. Now then, the final step. So we are going to go over an hour. I can see we've got a few people in watching. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all right. Thanks for sticking with me. I do appreciate your time. Because who really wants to be doing this tonight? Hands up. Nobody. Right. So let's get on to the third page and then how we link to that. Okay. Now then, there's loads of fancy ways of linking to a third page. But let's just look at the easiest way, which is turning text into a hyperlink. Okay, so I am going to click here next to my animation. I'm going to move down. Tell you what, I'll put it in here with this other text. Okay, I'm going to say click here to see the evidence files. Okay. Click here to see the evidence files. Okay, so I just want to turn that into a hyperlink, and that is really easy. I'm just going to drag over this text. You could even just click on this and put the link in there, which is a really nice way to do it. I'm going to make it bold as well. So, and this is going to be a page that I haven't made yet, of course, which is evidence.html. To do that, click away. You see that's turned into a hyperlink. Simple as that. Okay, really nice and easy. You could have highlighted the text and typed the link in at the bottom there. Okay, you could have done that. That's kind of the normal way I would do it. But, you know, it is nice to have those buttons pop up. Okay, so that's now linking to a page that doesn't exist. Let's test that. Chrome, refresh. Okay, you can see I've got this live hyperlink. So if I click on that, what's going to happen? It's going to complain because that page doesn't exist. Excuse my musical nose blowing. All right, so I'll just back up And we need to make this page now, evidence.html. Okay, so for this, I'm going to duplicate my index page, I think, because it's going to be the most similar. So I'm just going to go back to my index page, file, save as. What am I going to call this? I'm going to call it, of course, evidence.html. Save. Shazam. Here's my evidence page. So let's just change this. Evidence. Oh. Okay, swap this photo for a different one. Just because I like dragging that target, really. No other reason. So down here on the properties, here's the source, and I'm going to drag the target over to Sebastian's photograph. There we go. Great. Now then, what do I want next? I want buttons to all of my evidence. Okay. So again, you could just have text. Okay. I could just literally go development log and down. Spreadsheet evidence and whatever the other stuff was. Okay, so you could just list them off here because you can see it. They put them. It puts it into its own little text paragraph container. Sorry, that we can then that we can hyperlink to. Okay. Now, if you want to be a bit more fancy than that, over in the insert Bootstrap components library, you do have buttons. Okay, see here, buttons, button groups. I don't know what they do. Okay, and buttons, we can just, okay, I could just click on this spreadsheet evidence. And if I want a normal looking button, I can just click on buttons here. You got different, and I'm going to place it after. And I got a nice looking button. Okay. Button group. Let's see what that does. So I'll do a basic button group. After. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So you could rename these. Okay. Development log, so on, and then just put a link in. Okay. So let's do that. Tell you what, I'm going to keep it really simple because I think that's why we're all here. So I'm going to get rid of this button group. I'm going to get rid of this button, and let's just stick to the most basic way. So development log here. Okay. And I want to link that to a PDF that I've got in my files, which is that one. Okay. So I'm just going to drag where it says link at the bottom here. Drag that guy up to the PDF. It's done. Okay. That development log text is now a button. It's a hyperlink, sorry, to the PDF. How does that work in practice? Let me show you. So I'll just save that because we are pretty much done now, my friends. So back over to Chrome. So let's go to the home page. So I clicked on home page there. That button's still working. Visit us. Cool. So as requested, weirdly, I can't open up the evidence page from every page. Okay, on the home page, there's no way of going to the evidence page. I have to go to the Visit Us page, and then I have to click on this button. And here I am. I'm on the evidence page. Okay, evidence page obviously still has the navigation to take me back to the other pages. And if I want to open the development log, I can just click on it. And just like that, here is the wonderful digital competence framework in all its splendor for my website visitors to view. So back I go. And that, I think, is going to do us for tonight. Now, I'm more than happy to stay on for a bit for questions. So if anybody has any questions at all, please fire away. At the moment, I've got nothing in. So I'll just pop this back up on the screen. Oh, sorry, I've had my name up all night. There we are. Get rid of that. Okay, so if anybody has any comments, any questions, anything at all, please fire away, because I'm absolutely happy to help if I can. Okay. If not, I suppose we can leave. Oh, okay. I'll ask you a question. Please comment if you would be interested in another session looking at CSS, where we'd be looking at styling this. So if you're interested in that session, maybe just pop a comment in, and we look at organising that. Helen says, "Na diolch." I think Helen's saying "na diolch" that she didn't have a question, not no thanks to the no thanks to the CSS. Okay, Helen, diolch I ti. So Helen, yeah, please, great. So we'll have a look at that. I don't think we want to do that tonight because it's getting on. So just checking here. I've got the comments open for YouTube and Facebook. So I can't see any other questions coming in. How about Animate? What are we thinking about Adobe Animate and making the animation? Would there be interest in some sessions on that, specifically looking at Unit 2? Is it only the Adobe stuff that we're struggling with, or are we also struggling with the planning and the paperwork and the storyboards and all that kind of stuff? Do we want to go over that? I've also been chatting with Dominic Trainer, who works for Adobe, who's got those boot camps coming up, and also with Greg, who is going to be running those boot camps. So Greg runs EdgeGain, which is the company that made the original Technocamps tutorials. So Greg is keen to support us as well. So Dom and Greg are both kind of wanting to help us out, wanting this GCSE to be a success. So I think they're quite keen to help. So I think if we ask for specific things and specific help with specific elements, then we're more likely to get exactly what we need. Unit 3, seeing as I'm going on my own little soliloquy here. So in Unit 3, we've obviously got the video editing. So I've been talking a lot on the Facebook group, the WJC Teachers Facebook group, about using Adobe Rush for the majority of this, rather than starting off in Premiere Pro. So I did Unit 3 first last year with my current year 11s, and I jumped straight in with Premiere Pro. And just if you don't know me, my background is in video production. So that's out of everything probably what I'm strongest at. And Premiere Pro was a very steep learning curve with that group last year, with those groups last year. Vertical almost. There's a lot of things that you need to really get spot on before you start editing in Premiere Pro. Like sequence settings, make sure that you've created your sequence before you start dragging clips from the bin to the sequence. Otherwise, the sequence will take its dimensions and settings from the first clip you put in. So I had kids last year, not yesterday. I had some pupils last year whose sequences were 8K sequences, and everything was crashing. And I was trying to work out how this had happened. And basically, they had a bunch of normal HD clips, like 1080p clips that they were editing, and then they'd accidentally or somehow downloaded one 4K or 8K clip. And because that was the first one they dragged in to start editing with, Premiere Pro then goes, oh, okay, this project is in 8K or this project is in 4K. And it's very difficult to then rectify that. So when we had our year 9 taster sessions, when they were deciding whether they were going to choose digital technology or not, I decided to use Premiere Rush with them for those, and they really enjoyed it. They loved it. Now, the only niggle is that when we submit the Unit 3 coursework, the moderators want to see project files. They want to be able to open up the project files. Now, you can't send or save or see Premiere Rush project files. They kind of live within the app. So you wouldn't be able to do that. Fortunately, there is a workaround which isn't ridiculous. We basically do 95% of the edit in Premiere Rush, which is nice and easy to use. And then right towards the end, you can open Premiere Pro up and do File and open a Premiere Rush project. And it'll basically just open up your Premiere Rush project in Premiere Pro, everything laid out on the timeline, everything perfect. And in there, that's where I'd actually want to use something like a Gaussian blur effect on a clip that say you've got text on the screen or your logo on the screen, and there's a video clip behind. I want that video clip to be a little bit blurred so the text is more legible. So to do that, I'd then add a Gaussian blur effect to that video clip under the text in Premiere Pro, because you can't do that in Rush. Rush is great, but the effects, the video effects that you can put on clips are limited basically to colors. So, black and white, sepia, that kind of thing. There's nothing else there. So that's what I would do. I would do most of the work in Rush, and then I would open it up in Pro. I'd add my Gaussian blur to one clip, maybe do a little bit of tweaking with the sound, because sound editing in Rush is a bit clunky. It's okay, though. It is okay. You will get away with it. You can duck under voiceovers. And I would strongly suggest voiceovers as well in that. If we want to go for the higher marks in Unit 3, I don't think that the exemplar is getting you there. I think you need to be using moving video, not still images, because the exemplar is a slideshow, basically. So to get the higher marks, personally, I think we need moving video clips rather than still images. I think you need a logo. So for Hinnaboda Lake, that's the last year's spec. I had them to make a logo in Illustrator. Bring that in. That also counts then as my original media that's been created for it, which is requested in the brief and in the spec. Music, sound editing, making sure that the music is good. But then also, I've been getting them I got them last year to record voiceovers, which work really nicely. Just the USB mic, plug it into the PC, record a voiceover straight in on. You can do that on Premiere Rush. It's really easy. And then you can set the music to duck under the voiceover automatically. These, if you remember, back in the good old days of GCSE IT, these are the things that were the advanced skills, the additional marks. So I'm kind of thinking about that. If I want to get into that top bracket in digital technology, I'm always thinking back to, okay, what were the advanced skills at GCSE? And what else can I add to those that's more modern and more up to date? So things like adding a voiceover to the video, I think definitely makes it a more professional looking product. Therefore, more likely to be in the top band of marks. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave it there now. Helen, diolch am y neges. Got a message there from Helen saying that she's got interest in the video editing, the Unit 3 session. So we'll see what we can do about that. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining me. If you've got any questions, burning questions that you didn't ask for whatever reason, please feel free to post something in the WJC teachers group for digital technology. I do kind of haunt there quite a bit, or just get in touch with me, send me a message, send me a DM, send me an email, whatever. Okay. Remember now about this PDF. I've got a PDF of everything that I've showed you tonight that I'll send you on email. If you want that, you just need to go to the link that's at the bottom of the screen, digitalschool.wales/bootstrap PDF. And I'll add that link under the YouTube video and the Facebook video as well once this live stream's over. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Thanks a lot. I hope this has been useful, and I'm sure I'll see you again on another video or call again. Okay, bye. Sorry about the cold. I hope you haven't got it by following the video. Okay, I'll see you guys. Ta-ra.